We are live from LEDucation in New York at the beautiful Hilton Hotel in the Art Deco city of New York. In Manhattan, Greg Ehrich, we're back, and we're pleased to be joined by the hosts of the Lighting Controls podcast. That's right, Ron Kuzma, Webster Marsh are here with us today, lightingcontrolspodcast.com. I hope I got the website right. And this is presented by the DLFNY. Do you remember that acronym, Greg, from our
Design Lighter Forum, New York.
Woo!
Yeah.
You got it. That's right. But before we get into our conversation, we got to remember the good folks, the easy folks. That's right. Keep it easy, Greg. KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com.
We got the control geeks here, so we have to talk about Smart Loop. That's their LLLC. Is that what I said right?
Luminaire level lighting control.
There we go. And I love it. And I've done it on multiple products because spaces and rooms and facilities change. And, you know, that means you want to change the zoning of lighting. You can easily do it when you have that LLLC.
You had one more L than you needed.
Sorry. The number of L's in this.
Keep it easy. Keep it easy. Go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com. That's Light Made Easy, the big easy, Keystone. Guys, you've had a heck of a run in the last 6 to 8 year.
Yeah.
A year over year now.
Yeah,
Wow.
We're over 50 episodes strong now. I mean, and we keep getting more people who want to come onto the show and say, you know, what they have to say, or, you know, we keep getting people saying, hey, you should talk about this, you should talk about that. And every time we talk to somebody who's a little hesitant to join our show, we're always like, there's always something to talk about. There's a lot of people who say, I don't know what we're going to talk about for 45 minutes. It's like, there is always something to talk about.
Always.
The lighting controls.
It's not hard at all, right? I mean, people are nervous. They're, oh, wait, I don't know. What are we going to do? It's just a conversation, right? It's very much, we don't plan ahead anything that we're going to talk about on the show. It's very much just a conversation that we have with our guests, and we just let it flow and let it roll. And some guests, you just barely say hello, and they're off and running, right? You don't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
But it's been phenomenal. And we're both based in New England, right?
Right.
So by being in the Boston area, things are done a certain way around here. So it's been fantastic to get perspectives from other parts of the country of how things are done differently in California and in the Midwest and down in the South, because everyone does operate just slightly differently with their models.
And then to record it. And that's what we talked about in the previous podcast is a lot of these conversations going on the show floor right now are things that people need to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not here and you don't hear it, how are you going to hear it? So record it. Thanks,
Right,
guys.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, you know, that's the other thing that we really want to do is bring education to the masses as it pertains to lighting controls. You know, there's so much untapped potential and information in people's heads, but also there's just a lot of great resources that people aren't aware of. For instance, Lighting Controls Association, which is one of the supporters of our podcast, and they have a lot of free resources for people to learn about lighting controls there. Nailed is another fantastic resource which financially supports the podcast, and
has controls education in their LS1
yes,
program. Don't
exactly.
forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, totally.
It's like a base level. It's a starting point to get going on it.
Right.
But yes.
So there's some great resources out there that people just might not be aware of where to go to get that education. And so that's another thing that we're just really passionate about is helping people understand and find the information they're looking for.
So when we're talking about controls, and you guys have heard me sort of play foil,
yes,
to you know, like if people think like this is my opinion, I'm actually performing here.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We're all kind of part of this, and so to play foil, I've seen 3 controls boom bust cycles.
Yes,
and I'm hoping we're not in the 4th. Why are we not in the 4th?
I mean, I don't know if we aren't in the 4th. I think, you know, it depends on how you're defining the boom bust periods. But I think one of the things that we're seeing is a strong growth in the dolly awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a decline in 0 to 10 implementation as a result of that. And so that may be a bust if there are a lot of manufacturers that still are clinging to 0 to 10. I think that we may see it more as a speed bump or a recession rather than a complete bust. But I suspect that there is going to be some shifting that happens as a result of the widespread adoption of dolly, if it does succeed in its momentum that it's gaining right now.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a big drive, and I think that big drive is coming from electrification because there's going to be a big push. There's going to be more demand on the grid, and we've already seen that those rebates for LED fixtures are going away, right? Going away. They are going to be gone. So the next big push is going to be controls. That's where the next set of rebates is going to be. So controls are going to get pushed, and it'll be interesting to see how this carrot and stick game goes, right? The utilities are going to dangle that carrot out there, but if people wait too long with electrification and demand on the grid, there's going to be a stick, and someone's going to come whacking and force you to do things. So controls are coming, whether people like it or not. It's going to be interesting to see how we get there, what ultimately takes the path, and then how the integration between lighting, building, and everything else comes together.
The hard part with controls in general for lighting people like us that have been selling on rebates and payback is you're not seeing the paybacks always. It's kind of more like, to me, it's always peace of mind. Like, I know the lights are going to be off when I need them off.
Yep.
Or I know I can do this. I know I can do that. So it's a different type of sale, but I am starting to see it from the distributor level.
Well, and I think that's one of the challenges is that, there's been so much focus on LED and getting widespread adoption of LEDs for so long that people are now seeing that there's such a diminished return on that, whether it's power or monetarily. And so the focus is starting to shift to the controls narrative. And additionally, because there's a decent amount of hand-holding when it comes to lighting controls, in a lot of cases, there are certainly solutions out there that are very easy, like LLLC. But at the same time, there's still some expertise that needs to be hovering behind the scenes, making sure that it's applied correctly, whether it's a designer or it's part of the manufacturer's support group. And as a result, the distributors are perfectly positioned to be one of those keys to getting that implemented, so that we
in the channel.
It's really going to come down to, like Webster said, education. Right, it needs to come from the manufacturers and the reps down through the distributors. It needs to hit the boots on grounds. It needs to hit the ESCOs. It needs to hit everybody. Because
I think it needs to come from the Lighting Controls Integrators Council, whatever the new name is.
It does too.
What's the new name?
The Council on Lighting Controls
Startups and Integration.
Yes, I think that's where you guys need to. You guys need to step into that space, that void that exists.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, and that is the point of this whole council that we started up, is to be able to create awareness and have sort of a collective approach to integrators, because a lot of people say, well, where are the integrators? Who do I contact? How do I get in touch with them and find somebody who's local to my project site? Well, that's one of the resources that we're working towards, is getting a collective resource listing out integrators that are aligned with the CLCSI. And additionally, we want to provide resources to those integrators or dealers that want to become integrators, or distributors that want to become integrators, so that they can do this well and effective and follow guidance from people who are experts in the territory.
Greg and I were just in Germany a couple weeks ago, and we bumped into Mark Lean. I can just say him. He's been on the show many times from the IES. Everybody knows who that is, right?
Yep.
One of the great figures in lighting. And we were talking about darkness restoration, which you guys know is very important to the work we're doing. And I was kind of arguing with him. And he's like, well, how are you going to get it done? How are you going to get it done? And I finally said to him, it's a 100-year plan, Mark.
Yeah.
And he stepped back. He goes, okay, now I get it. Right? It's not going to happen tomorrow. And it's the same thing with your council that you guys are working on here. Now, it's not a 100-year plan, but it's probably a 5-year plan, actually. So you guys get to a point where you're certifying people.
Yep.
Where you have like a path to certification, an industry certification, which is recognized and valuable by the industry. Is that what your council is trying to put together? Is it a 5-year plan? Is it a 2-year plan? What is it?
That's a great question. I'd say it probably is closer to a 5-year plan. The idea of a certification is such a big scope right now, right? Because we look at this from so many different angles. You've got integrators like myself who are independent. You have integrators at the manufacturer level, integrators at the rep. So there's so many different avenues. So to try and basically have a basic understanding of what an integrator is and a basic certification, I think, that applies to everybody is what we're focusing on. And it's going to take some time to really develop that and design it and put it out to market.
Well, the good news is we're at the right place. Everybody's down there.
That's
that
right.
matters in lighting right now. Holy mackerel. What do you guys think of LEDucation? Is this wild or what?
It's crazy. I mean, the show is every year. It's getting bigger and bigger, and it does feel like it's outgrowing these ballrooms in this hotel very fast.
Yeah, I mean, this is the busiest I've ever seen LEDucation. I've been coming to LEDucation for several years now, and so to see it booming like this is awesome. I think, the community really has rallied around LEDucation and created this environment that's really great, and it almost perfectly runs in sync with NYC Controlled, because NYC Controlled happens in the fall, this happens in the spring, so it's like perfectly positioned to work in tandem with that.
And is there anything you guys have seen from a control standpoint that stands out that's new? or is it just stuff you kind of know about that might be tweaked?
I'll go first. I mean,
Yeah.
I think one of the things, just on an overall perspective, the form factors are getting smaller. The integration is getting better, and so that is a really good thing to see, because it used to be huge equipment getting stuffed in back rooms and having to figure out, okay, where is this going to go? So seeing things shrink down in size is really nice. Seeing LLLC pop up, seeing LLLC integrating with third parties is really great to see. So all of that just adds to a collaborative element to lighting controls.
Yeah, and we're starting to see a lot more wireless too, a lot more, but stable wireless, right? That's the big thing, is wireless that's stable, because there is such a demand for existing installations where you just can't run new wire. And when you take it to that level and you're trying to do retrofits, sometimes wireless is the right answer. So it's really nice to see, because those components are smaller, it's easier to fit it into different types of fixture profiles and formats.
So before we let these guys go have lunch, I got a couple more questions for them. Okay, Greg?
Go for
I
it.
know you're saying shut it down. We've been on the live stream for 10 minutes. But, I just got to say, I want to say thank you to the Nailed board.
Yes.
Okay, who, all these projects and all these things we've done, and there's been a lot of failures. The Lighting Controls podcast is a success. And, I want to thank them, and that includes, it goes back to Amundsen and Matt Thiesing and Corey Schneider, even back to Spencer Miles, Brian Huff. I'm missing people here. Matt, I forgot your last name, Matt. Hansen, yes. There's who else am I missing, Greg, on that board? Who's supporting this?
Chad Palmer's new.
Chad Palmer, he's new. And Devin Wall, who also nailed them. I'm missing some folks out there. We want to thank the Nail board. If you want to join these guys, okay, what you have to, I know it's going to sound complicated. So if you're listening right now, it's going to sound complicated. You got to become an associate member of Nailed, okay? And that's how you join their council. So if you go to nald.org, you contact Erin at the Nailed office, Greg.
Yep.
She'll get you set up. Tell them you want to join the Lighting Controls Council. They have what's the name again, guys?
The Council on Lighting Controls Startup and Integration.
Yeah, that's a beautiful name. I can never remember it. But go to nald.org, contact the Nailed office, and you can join their council. And of course, Greg, you know what? We got to say, go to lightingcontrolspodcast.com, but also KeystoneTech.com.
That's right. 3 L's and a C.
Yes.
The Smart Loop. Smart Loop is a great product.
And it's easy. Go to KeystoneTech.com. Light made easy, the big easy. Keystone Tech, KeystoneTech.com. Thank you.